you and Judge Mathis, is everything cool between both of y'all? Because I know he made some comments telling you to come see him.
Oh, he's part of that thing too. Have you noticed at home with Judge Mathis with all of that rainbow stuff that they push? See, Hollywood tried to get me to do the same thing. I said, hell no, you're on your own with that. I'm not doing it, but he did. See, he punked out and joined the gang, and then he says he got out when his mama got sick. So he does his thing, and one of the most embarrassing moments I ever had as a black attorney or as a black man was in front of 5 members of the U.S. Supreme Court and the Second Circuit Court of the Judiciary. They were having a judicial conference. They had invited me, Judge Napolitano, and Judge Mathis to lecture them for 2 hours on television in the courtrooms, because at that point, 20-some years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court and the appellate courts of the United States and other courts were concerned about opening the courts back up again to broadcast media. He declined the show, and he said, "I'm sorry, I'm rehearsing for a gospel play." So I found that embarrassing. You're doing a church gospel play and you miss out on an opportunity to address the Second Circuit Court of Appeals for the United States. I think there are 3 or 4 former members of that circuit that are on the U.S. Supreme Court right now. The Supreme Court itself is part of that circuit for educational and continuing legal educational purposes. And you missed the opportunity to do that because you're in a gospel rehearsal. That's clown show stuff. And then that crap he does about endorsing LGBTQIA+ on that At Home with Matthysse. And the fact that when I was on, I was number 1 and 2, and he was down 150, 160 in the ratings, flunkying out, doing what he did, acting ignorant. I never said anything about him, but he wanted to badmouth him because he apparently likes that Joe and Ho thing with Joe Biden and Ho Harris, and he got offended that I called his little fake negress a hoe, which she is. She's entitled to her sexual activity, but she did it for money and advantage, and that makes you a hoe if you do it for pay. Now, bottom line is he came up and said something like, if he called my wife a hoe, he'd have to answer to me. Well, I haven't called his wife a hoe, but I hope for his sake she ain't, because, if you are, I might tell you what you are. So he talked and he wanted to badmouth it, and I think he was trying to deal with bravado, but, he said, somebody know where I can find him in Memphis. Well, you want to be a fool enough to set yourself up for that, go right ahead. I thought it was foolish, and I thought it was typical, and that's why he lasted so long. I was number 1 and number 2, the number 1 money-making show for CBS that they bragged to their stockholders was making the whole operation so profitable, and he was down there. He's one of those shows that makes low-level commercial money and you can keep on forever, and he was amenable to pushing the rainbow cult. So he did that. See, what they do is they'd invite you to parties, and you go to the party, you first get in this, and oh man, look at all the beautiful women, and then wait a minute, what's that going on over there? It's no, and you pull your cell phone out, baby, what you doing? Look here, I'm leaving this set. Let me drop by and pay you a visit. So I'm getting the hell out of here. And then they start inviting you back. You go back to them, not me. And see, they'd get you caught up in there and get trapped if you fell into that. They take your belt off, help you pull your britches down, your boxes, and bend you over. And, you'd be part of the initiate, that's a catechism. And you'd be helping that out so they can poison the minds of America with, you have no purpose, you have no cause, get rid of your masculinity, be emotional, and, get upset and think somebody's supposed to take care of you. So that was a poisonous thing. So, like some other people who were involved, I refused to get involved with, well, not involved, but other people who were doing stuff. I refused to get involved with that social scene in Hollywood because it's just poisonous. Just completely poisonous, and they have an agenda. So, yeah, that's Mathis. He can take his punk self somewhere else and go deal with his rainbow fixation. All his children on a rainbow, you know, man, what have you not been doing? They're so sensitive. But anyhow, you know, I found it funny.
Yeah, he called you a fake tough guy.
Well, I'm a man. I've tested my personal courage and bravery. I haven't let myself down. I've been in some interesting adventures that he hasn't, and I didn't run. I've done some things in the real world he hasn't, so that's okay. I don't consider myself a tough guy. I consider myself a man. I've met Muhammad Ali. I had a long conversation with George Foreman. We used to hang around, you know. He was a nice guy to hang with. I knew Huey Newton, Eldridge Cleaver, you know, all this bunch. Geronimo Pratt, a.k.a. G, some other people. I was a bodyguard for A-Trap Brown for a week. My good brother was probably one of the foremost martial artists in the world, and Black Belt magazine said he was probably the most dangerous human alive in North America. And if you want to look him up, that's Clifford Stewart, late of Los Angeles, Dr. Clifford Stewart. So we did our share of adventurous stuff growing up and when we were around in Los Angeles. And I have been in a legal case where it was out in the country dealing with rural matters and some stuff where we just send somebody on a motorcycle because nobody had cell phones then. And when the sheriff goes up, I got a .45 auto in one hand and a .357 in the other, in a briefcase with a court order, and the sheriff is yelling, boys, put them muzzles down. We can't have all this. What the hell's going on? Well, Sheriff so-and-so, there's a court order over there. These people are trespassing. So, yeah, I've been there. So he hasn't. Bottom line is I think I'm a tough guy. No, I just think I'm a man who stands up for his duty like a whole lot of other people I'm personally acquainted with, or was before they left us. So, you know, it is what it is. Just be careful when you're selling wolf tickets. You know what a wolf ticket is?
Yeah, I know what a wolf ticket means. Bluffing, pretty much.
I've seen some wolf tickets sold, and some people bought a whole book of tickets for the premiere performance and wanted an encore and a curtain call when it got through. So he's selling wolf tickets.